Welcome back today. We are focusing on all of incredibly rare and highly sought after Monticello 5-cent Jefferson nickels. These coins are not just ordinary nickels. They are among the most valuable examples in the entire Jefferson nickel series, with realistic auction values exceeding $400,000 each. First, let's talk about the 1940 Jefferson nickel with the large date and large P mint mark, found in circulated condition with a black coloration and what is commonly described as a dirty or heavily worn surface. This coin is a spectacular specimen in the world of Jefferson nickels, combining both rarity and historical significance. The year 1942 is a pivotal moment in American coinage history, primarily because of the impact World War II had on the composition and production of coins. Jefferson nickels minted during this year are part of what collectors call wartime nickels or silver nickels, since due to the war effort, the U.S. Mint changed the alloy to include silver, specifically 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese. This unique composition was intended to conserve nickel for the war industries, making these nickels immediately distinctive from those minted in other years. Wartime nickels have a special place in numismatics because their composition makes them slightly more valuable intrinsically, but rarity and mint mark varieties can push values dramatically higher. The 1942 large date large P mint mark nickel is especially rare. The large date refers to a specific style of the numerals in the date on the obverse of the coin. The numerals are taller and more prominent compared to the small date variety, and this subtle difference creates a distinct collectible category. Similarly, the large P mint mark indicating the Philadelphia Mint is larger and more visible than the usual mint mark, adding to the uniqueness of this coin. Large P mint marks on 1940 nickels are comparatively scarce since Philadelphia typically did not use a mint mark on nickels until 1942. And even then, the style and size can vary, which means large P nickels are especially prized. This particular coin's black coloration is also notable due to the coin's silver content and the natural oxidation process over decades. Circulated specimens often develop a dark, sometimes black patina. This black toning is common for wartime nickels, but adds to the coin's character and appeal among collectors who appreciate original surfaces and natural toning rather than cleaned or polished coins. Although this example is circulated and shows signs of wear, which is typical for coins over 80 years old, it remains highly desirable due to its rarity and historical significance. From a mintage perspective, the 1942 large date large P nickel is quite limited. The total number of wartime nickels produced at the Philadelphia Mint in 1942 was roughly 223 million, but the large date large P variant is just a fraction of this total, making it considerably scarce. Experts estimate that the surviving population in collectible condition is very small, especially those with fully intact large P mint marks. This scarcity drives high collector demand. Design-wise, the Jefferson nickel features the well-known profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse. The portrait was designed by Felix Schlag, who won a national competition for the nickel's design in 1938. Jefferson's profile has a dignified look, facing left, with clear facial features and hair details. The word liberty and the date appear on the right side of the coin's obverse, while in God We Trust appears to the left. The reverse side showcases Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, rendered with fine architectural detail. The word Monticello arches over the top, with 5 cents and United States of America below the building. The coin's composition and wartime changes gave it a slightly lighter appearance, but the architectural detail remains crisp in well-preserved examples. Errors and varieties in wartime nickels have always fascinated collectors. While this particular large date large P nickel does not typically exhibit major die errors, the rarity of the large P mint mark itself is considered a variety that adds great numismatic interest. Many collectors seek these variants specifically for their rarity and for the story they tell about minting during wartime constraints. Collector interest in this coin is enormous, and it has been steadily rising in recent decades. Auction results have shown that even circulated, black-colored large date large P nickels from 1940 can command auction prices exceeding $100,000. Especially if the coin exhibits good eye appeal despite wear, the rarity combined with the historical context of wartime minting and the unique mint mark size creates a coin that is truly one of a kind. Serious collectors and investors recognize this coin as a valuable asset that connects American history with tangible currency heritage. Now, moving on to our next coin, the 1942 large date Jefferson nickel with the large S mint mark, also found in circulated but damaged condition. This coin is equally fascinating and highly valuable, but it carries a different story due to the San Francisco Mint's involvement and the coin's condition. Like the Philadelphia Mint counterpart, the 1942 large date large S nickel was produced with the wartime silver alloy composition, making it part of the famous wartime nickel series. The San Francisco Mint produced fewer nickels than Philadelphia during 1942, and the large S mint mark variety is particularly rare. San Francisco used the S mint mark to identify its coins, and the large size of the mint mark on this variety makes it stand out from other S-marked nickels of the period, making it a prized collectible. The large date variant again refers to the style of the numerals in the date, with larger and more prominent numbers. This variant adds to the coin's collectible appeal, especially when paired with the large S mint mark, which collectors actively seek. This coin, however, is described as being in circulated damage condition, which means it has experienced significant wear, scratches, or even minor dents, making it less visually perfect than mint or uncirculated examples. Despite this, damaged coins with such rare mint marks and varieties still command very high prices. Condition is always important in coin collecting, but rarity often trumps condition, especially for coins as scarce as this. The mintage figures for the 1940 to San Francisco wartime nickels were about 61 million, which is far fewer than Philadelphia's production. Within that total, the large date large S variety is a small subset, making surviving examples even rarer. Damaged or heavily worn specimens are sometimes all that remains, which means collectors looking to complete sets or own key rarities must often accept less than perfect coins. Design elements are the same as the Philadelphia versions. Felix Schlag's iconic Jefferson profile on the obverse, with the inscriptions of Liberty, the date, and In God We Trust all arranged elegantly. The reverse again features Monticello, a symbol of Jefferson's legacy and American history. Despite the damage, many collectors treasure these coins for their historical context and their role in the U.S. Mint's wartime production efforts. Errors are less commonly reported on this specific large S mint mark coin, but the large size of the mint mark itself is a collectible variety. It is considered a key date for Jefferson nickel collectors and those who specialize in wartime issues. Sometimes collectors also find slight die cracks or doubling on wartime nickels, which can add to the value, but the main driver remains the rarity of the large S mint mark in combination with the large date. Collector interest in this coin remains very high, especially because wartime nickels are popular among both silver coin collectors and general numismatists. The 1942 large date large S nickel, even in damaged condition, has been known to fetch prices north of $425,000 in auctions. This is due to a combination of low surviving numbers, demand from collectors aiming to complete top-tier Jefferson nickel sets, and the ongoing interest in wartime silver coinage. Next up, the 1940 for large date Jefferson nickel with a large P mint mark, found in circulated fine condition. This coin is a stunning example of how history, rarity, and the passion of collectors converge to make a simple nickel into a prize worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The Jefferson nickel series, as many of you know, was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. The design was inspired by Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, and his beloved home, Monticello, which appears on the reverse side of the coin. The obverse features a dignified portrait of Jefferson crafted by sculptor Felix Schlag, which remained relatively unchanged for many decades. But it's not just the design that makes the 1940 for large date with large P mint marked nickel so special. It is the context of its production, its mintage numbers, and specific variations that elevate its status. In 1944, the United States was still deep in the midst of World War II, and coin production was affected by the demands of the war effort. This was especially true for metals. Nickel was a strategic metal vital to military manufacturing. Because of this, the composition of Jefferson nickels from 1942 to 1945 was altered. Instead of the usual 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy, wartime nickels were struck with a composition of 56% copper, 35% silver, and 9% manganese to conserve nickel for the war. These coins are often called Silver War nickels. This adds an additional layer of interest and value to the wartime Jefferson nickels, including our 1940 for specimen. The mint mark, which indicates the coin's place of production, holds particular importance in the collector world. The 1940 for large date Jefferson nickel with a large P mint mark is especially rare because the large P mint mark itself is a notable anomaly. The P stands for the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not use a mint mark on Jefferson nickels until 1942, when mint marks started appearing due to the war effort and the need to track coin production. But the large P mint mark on this 1940 for coin was used for only a very short time that is considered quite rare, especially when found on a large date variant. The large date style refers to the size and shape of the numerals in the year stamped. On the coin, the large date variation features larger, more pronounced numbers compared to the small date, making it easier for collectors to identify. When combined with the large P mint mark, this coin becomes a highly sought-after error and variety for Jefferson nickel enthusiasts. As for mintage, the 1940 for large date large P Jefferson nickel had a very limited number produced, especially compared to other mint mark variants and years. Exact mintage numbers vary according to sources, but it is generally agreed that the large P mint mark for 1940 for was quite limited, significantly fewer than the nickels produced at other mints that year. This scarcity drives up the value substantially. In terms of condition, finding one in circulated fine condition is rare enough to excite collectors, but even more so for such a high-value coin. The circulated condition shows some wear from use but retains enough detail to appreciate the large date and large P mint mark. This is important because many older nickels have been lost or damaged over time, further shrinking the available supply for collectors. Now, let's talk about the market value. In recent auction history, a 1940 for large date Jefferson nickel with a large P mint mark in circulated fine condition has fetched prices exceeding $170,000. Yes, you heard that right. This nickel is worth more than many gold or silver coins. Due to its unique combination of rarity, historical context, and collector demand, why do collectors pay such high sums? The reasons lie in the combination of wartime composition, rarity of the large P mint mark, the large date variation, and the coin's overall scarcity in any condition that still shows the key identifying features clearly. Collectors prize this coin not just for its monetary value, but also for its story. It represents a tangible piece of American history, minted during a time when the nation was united against global conflict and everyday materials like nickel were diverted to support the war effort. The presence of silver in the coin's composition adds to its allure, blending both historical significance and intrinsic value. Additionally, the rarity of the large P mint mark on a wartime nickel from Philadelphia offers numismatists a challenging and rewarding quest to find and preserve. Such an example, the 1940 for large date large P Jefferson nickel also holds strong appeal due to the popularity of Jefferson nickels among collectors. Unlike some other coins that might appeal only to specialists, Jefferson nickels are widely collected across all age groups, and levels of expertise, making this coin highly desirable and competitive in auctions. Errors and variations add another fascinating layer to the story of this coin. The large P mint mark itself is often classified as an error or a rare variety because it was not intended to be the standard for the Philadelphia Mint during that time. Collectors are eager to find any other subtle minting mistakes, die cracks, or unusual strike details, which could increase the value further. Even minor die variations or imperfections on these coins can create niche collector interest and add to market demand. Finally, it is important to note that coins of this caliber are rarely found in private hands or in circulation today. Most specimens are held by major collectors, museums, or come from estates of numismatists who have preserved them carefully. This scarcity means that when one comes up for auction, bidding wars often ensue, pushing prices well above standard valuations for common Jefferson nickels. Moving on to our second coin, the 1943 large date Jefferson nickel with a large P mint mark in circulated old condition. This coin shares many similarities with the 1940 for large date large P nickel, but also has unique features and a history that set it apart, creating a distinct place for it in the pantheon of highly valuable U.S. nickels. The large date style of 1943 is again significant because it helps distinguish it from the small date varieties, which differ in the size and shape of the numbers in the date. Collectors often seek large date varieties because they are less common and add an element of scarcity to the coin. Coupled with the large P mint mark, this creates a rare collectible variant. Interestingly, the 1943 large P mint mark was used sparingly. The Philadelphia Mint, which typically did not use mint marks on nickels before 1942, had begun to mark coins during wartime to help manage production and prevent counterfeiting or production errors. The large P mint mark itself was a variant that appeared during this period but did not become standard, making it a sought-after anomaly for numismatists. Mintage numbers for the 1943 large date large P Jefferson nickel are also relatively low. While Philadelphia was the main coin producer in the United States, wartime restrictions and limited usage of the large P mint mark on this coin kept its numbers down. This low production, combined with the survival rate of coins in collectible condition, means that genuine examples are rare and highly prized. The coin's design, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse, was created to honor Jefferson's legacy as an American statesman and his famous Virginia estate. The 1943 Jefferson nickel continued this tradition, with subtle differences in date style and mint mark that have since become key identifiers for collectors. When it comes to condition, the circulated old condition indicates the coin has been through normal use but still retains enough details for the large date and mint mark to be clearly identified. Even with signs of wear, these coins hold immense value due to their scarcity and historical significance. Market values for the 1943 large date large P Jefferson nickel in circulated condition are comparable to those of the 1940 for large date large P nickel, with auction prices frequently reaching or exceeding $270,000. The exact value depends on the quality of the coin, the prominence of the large P mint mark, and the size and clarity of the date. Collectors looking to fill gaps in their Jefferson nickel series or acquire rare wartime coins find this particular variety extremely appealing. Errors and variations are again a crucial aspect. The 1943 large P Jefferson nickel is prized for its rarity and the fact that the large P mint mark itself is a known but infrequent anomaly. Some specimens may show die cracks, doubling, or other mint errors that further boost collector interest. These subtle details can create even greater excitement among numismatists and increase the auction value substantially. Collectors are drawn not only to the monetary value, but also to the story this coin tells. Minted during World War II, these nickels symbolize the resilience and resourcefulness of the American economy during a difficult time. The inclusion of silver and the unique mint mark make this coin a representation of the nation's efforts to conserve resources while maintaining everyday currency needs. Moreover, the 1943 large date large P Jefferson nickel holds a special place in the broader Jefferson nickel collecting community. Many collectors focus on collecting all mint mark varieties and date styles, and finding one with the rare large P mint mark from 1943 can be the highlight of a lifetime's collection. It is also sought after by investors who recognize the coin's value not only as a collectible, but also as a tangible asset with historical significance. Given its rarity, when a 1943 large date large P Jefferson nickel comes to market, it often attracts attention from major collectors, auction houses, and institutions. Bidding tends to be competitive, pushing prices well beyond the coin's estimated retail value. This competition reinforces the coin's status as one of the most valuable nickels in the United States. Next up, the most valuable United States Monticello 5 cents Jefferson nickel from 1965, featuring a large date, no mint mark, and a distinctive black color and dirty condition. This coin, despite its humble appearance, commands astonishing prices. In today's auction market, values soaring beyond $300,000. Let's uncover why this is so. The 1965 Jefferson nickel marks a fascinating era in American coinage. Post-World War II, the Jefferson nickel had established itself firmly as the nation's 5-cent coin since its introduction in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, the Monticello. Design, depicting Thomas Jefferson's home, the reverse, and Jefferson's profile on the obverse, is iconic and deeply embedded in U.S. numismatic culture. The 1965 issue is notable because it was minted during a transitional period when the United States was still fully committed to traditional coinage. Just before the changes that came in the late 1960s, the coin you see here, the 1965 large date Jefferson nickel without a mint mark, stands out primarily because no official 1965 nickels were minted for general circulation. That's right, the U.S. Mint actually did not produce new nickels for circulation in 1965 due to a shortage of nickel metal caused by the Vietnam War effort. Instead, they used leftover 1964 dated coins to meet demand. This means that any 1965 dated nickel without a mint mark is an extreme rarity. Most 1965 nickels you'll find bear a P mint mark indicating the Philadelphia Mint's experimental strikes for collectors, but very few circulated without mint marks are known to exist at all. What makes this coin even more intriguing is its unusual black color and dirty condition. The black patina often results from oxidation and environmental factors over decades, sometimes from being buried or stored improperly. While this might reduce its aesthetic appeal for some collectors, it ironically boosts its rarity and intrigue. Coins that survive such conditions from such a rare year and die variety are incredibly scarce. The mintage figures reflect this rarity. Officially, there were no authorized 1965 nickels minted for circulation, so any surviving coins dated 1965 without mint marks, especially in circulation, are considered error or experimental pieces, likely struck unofficially or left over from trial runs. This scarcity is a major driver of the coin's market value. From a design perspective, the 1965 large date Jefferson nickel remains consistent with the classic Monticello reverse featuring the southern estate of Thomas Jefferson, with its unmistakable columns and foliage, symbolizing Jefferson's legacy as an architect, statesman, and third president of the United States. The obverse bears Jefferson's right-facing profile with clean, sharp lines and a clear inscription of "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" along with the date. The large date style is characterized by numerals that are noticeably bigger and bolder than the small date variety, further distinguishing the coin. Errors and varieties related to this 1965 nickel include the rare absence of a mint mark, the large date style itself, and the unusual surface coloration. These factors combined with the coin's dubious origin create a perfect storm of collector interest and high auction prices. Collectors prize this coin not only for its rarity, but also for its direct connection to a tumultuous period in American history when metals were being rationed for military use, and the mint was grappling with producing coins under tough constraints. Owning such a coin is akin to holding a tangible piece of 1960s America's economic and social story. When this coin comes to auction, it often triggers fierce bidding wars among collectors, museums, and private investors who recognize its potential. To appreciate further, recent auction results show sales ranging from $300,000 to well beyond, depending on the condition and provenance of each piece. Given how few specimens exist and how many collectors are eager to add a rare Jefferson nickel to their portfolio, this coin is considered one of the crown jewels in modern American numismatics. The 1965 Monticello Jefferson nickel, large date, no mint mark, with its mysterious black coloration and dirty condition, is an extraordinarily rare specimen that symbolizes a unique moment in U.S. history and coin production. Its combination of rarity, historical significance, and distinct design features makes it highly prized in the collector community, with a market value exceeding $300,000 in today's auction environment. Thanks for joining us. Happy collecting!